Hello, welcome back. This is the first one we've done since pre-Christmas, so I hope you've all had a lovely Christmas time, lovely holidays, and Happy New Year. So this is our first one in 2025. Uh, I had a nice time over Christmas. We had lots of food, spent some time with family, just the normal kind of stuff. It was all good. I hope you had a nice time as well. Um, Basically, today we're going to talk a little bit about the new qualifying procedure for British powerlifting. So it used to just be a case of if you hit a certain number, a certain total, then you were able to enter the next British. But what we've been seeing over the last few years is more and more people hitting that total, which is good. Obviously, it means that people are getting stronger. It means that the sport is growing. All very good things. The downside is the competitions itself can go on for ages, and lots of people uh, will qualify and have been qualifying, and that's, as I said, it's good for the sport. However, the issue is, in some cases, the day is either too long, the flights are too big, um, or the competition itself goes over, like it sprawls over multiple days. In the past, the All Englands once tried to do a cap, and then basically it filled out very quickly, and lots of people complained that they weren't able to get in. So I feel like something needed to change, and I think this is a good way to go. I'll talk more about my opinion on it a bit later. I'll explain how it actually works first. So I've got to open up my laptop now, and essentially from 2025, I assume this is for every individual weight class. So it's going to be top 14 athletes. Now, 14 is pretty much the most you can have in a flight, so this works quite well. So it should be one flight per weight class, basically, which I imagine will cut it down to like 2 days for an open competition. So that makes life much easier. Um, and yeah, British this year is, I believe, the 7th and the 8th, or the 8th and the 9th of December. I know it's around my birthday, whatever that weekend is. So it is over 2 days. But essentially, the way those 14 spaces are filled is spaces 1 to 3. So the top three places are the previous top three of the previous British. So if you finish top three in British in 2024, you will be able to qualify straight away for British 2025. Then spaces 4 to 7, so there's four spots there, 4, 5, 6, and 7, are the winners of the Home Nation Championship. So English, Scottish, Northern Irish, and Welsh. Okay. And then the next one is the next two spaces, which is the winners of the open class. So there will be two invites available here. So 8th and 9th will go to the winners of the Northern and the Southern qualifier. Now, from a previous post that I've seen, the Northern and Southern qualifier will be what was Manchester Open last year. I don't think that's on this year, but there'll be something else for a Northern qualifier. Um, but essentially, the way you could qualify for Manchester Open was you had to hit a certain level of GL points, which last year I believe was 75, and then the top 70 lifters were invited from there. There's a note on this one today for the British one that Northern and Southern qualifiers, to apply to enter, you must have achieved a minimum of 70 GL points. I'm not too sure if that's just going to be a case of everyone with 70 GL is able to enter, or if it's going to be an invite process like Manchester Open was last year. But essentially, that's how you enter that way. So you can win the Northern qualifier or the Southern qualifier, and then you will get an invite. Now, here is where you can qualify without going to a national level competition. There will be 5 spots from 10 to 14, and essentially you just have to have competed at a IPF competition. So IPF, EPF, British Powerlifting, any of that. So that could be divisional, it could be above that, whatever. But essentially, the invites will go to the top totals, it says here. So, yeah, I think that's a good way to fill it, to be honest with you. Um, as I mentioned earlier, the The issues that we've had is that there's been a few days of competition and it's sprawled out, and it's been a lot of entrants, which, as I said, is great for the sport. It's great for getting people involved. I love that. But in terms of just logistics and running a competition, that's insane. So they had to cut it down a little bit. And what this basically means is that people have to be pretty much of a certain level in terms of experience before they can qualify. Unless you're an absolute freak of nature and does one divisional and absolutely does amazing, and then you get an amazing total and you're able to qualify in that 10 to 14 spot that I mentioned before. But in that case, great, that's deserved. But also that's quite a low percentage of people. So what this means is that the top 9 spaces essentially go to people who have got to a national level already and should have a good understanding of how competitions work. Because you will sometimes see people get into a competition. So if you're someone who's very strong and you've gone straight from a divisional to a national, what you might see is that you're not quite sure on all of the rules and you're not quite confident on how the competition day runs itself. And that can lead to a worse experience for the lifter themselves. I would say it leads to worse experience for other lifters because it doesn't really affect them. But it makes things, it means that the level of lifting will not only be higher, but the actual lifter themselves should be not of a higher standard. I don't want to say it like that, but more experienced and have a better idea of how it all works, which I think will just lead to a more efficiently run competition as well. Um, so yeah, I think it's a good thing. I believe like something had to change, because if we just kept going up in qualifying totals, it would be it might be too off-putting for a beginner lifter. And I think because there's been a bit of change, I think some people who are already into powerlifting might find this a bit strange. But I think overall it's quite accessible, because you can either be very, very good at divisional level, or you can go from divisional to a smaller national level competition, or I suppose it's still regional, but northern or southern, and then go on to British from there. I think it keeps British fairly prestigious, and I think it also, as I said, it just means that the level of experience for the lifters that you'll see will be even higher. So yeah, I think it's a good thing. I don't really have any negatives about it, to be honest, because I think in the past I'd have been a little bit like, well, people hit the total, they should be able to compete. However, now that I've run a few competitions myself, I can understand the logistical reasons for it, and also it just means that the actual days themselves might be a bit more accessible for people to watch as well. So like if there's just one flight per weight class, it's going to be really easy to go to like somewhere like I think I know it's at the NEC this year. I don't know if it's Fit Fest again, but an expo like that, it's going to be good to go to that and think, right, I can just watch the weight class I want to watch, and then move on and go look at something else in this expo. You know, that kind of thing. So like for the viewer, for the spectator, I think it might be a little bit more accessible as well. Generally, I think the whole format is a bit more accessible. I don't, as I said, I don't disagree with it. I think it's a good thing. Um, the accessibility overall, I think, is good. Obviously, that accessibility doesn't count if you're not strong enough to get there, which a lot of people won't be straight away, and that's fine, because British should be hard to qualify for. It shouldn't just be a case of, oh, I've done a competition or two, I'm ready to move up to the next level. It's British. It should be something to aim for. It shouldn't just be something you expect to do within a year or two of competing. You might spend 3 or 4 years getting to that level, and that's fine. Like, I don't really see a negative about that. Um, I know some people might do regionals and get a bit bored of them, but it doesn't really happen. A lot of the regionals are just really well run, and then therefore you have a good time at these competitions, and then they're normally good. So I don't see any downsides. I like it. It'll make my life easier if 5 people qualify for it, because, as I said, it'll be one one flight per class by the looks of things. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've had a few people ask about how it works and stuff, and I just thought I'd make this as a podcast. Obviously, if you've got any questions or any suggestions, or if you just want to tell me what you think about the new process, please feel free. I'm happy to discuss that. As always, if you're interested in joining the club or my coaching or anything like that, also get in touch. Happy to help you in that sense. We've had a good start to the new year. Already January's been a better month than December in terms of people joining and stuff like that. So yeah, happy to keep that going as well. So if I can help any further, please get in touch. I hope you've enjoyed me waffling on a little bit. Also, my voice is a little bit off just because the time of year. It's just cold. It's very, very cold. I'm not built for this. But yeah, thank you for listening. I will be back hopefully next week. So you'll hear me again then. Goodbye.